Buffs Nation, happy Monday. And man, if you're a resident here in Colorado, you're happy it's Monday. It's a new week, which means we can focus on the games ahead and, not worry about, the Broncos dropping 70 or allowing 70 points to be dropped on them. The game on Saturday was just the appetizer, right? So really excited to be joined again from Bird from Bird's Eye View. He's going to be hopping on here in just a minute. Again, if anybody's watching on the live stream, it is greatly appreciated if you hit that like. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are, where you're watching from. Again, we're building something here really, really fun. Y'all have fun with us. So without further ado, let's bring on Bird. Bird, how's it going, man?
All is well, man. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. Thank you. Okay, well, it's a new week. It's Monday, but hey, let's let's circle back to this weekend just briefly before we look forward, man. Obviously a disappointing loss for our Buffaloes, losing by 36, but wanted to get your thoughts on just the game, anything that you were looking to see, whether that happened or not, and heck, are there any positives? Are there any positives that we can draw from this loss this week? Or heck, no, we just got to move forward.
Gotcha. Yeah, it was a tough one. It definitely was a tough one for sure. I mean, if we're looking at positives, I guess you could say we won the turnover battle. We did have it, and we did turn the football over, so we did win the turnover battle. There is a positive there. But I guess a few other things, we did see Komani McLean side. I know he had a couple of tackles. He made a play in the flats. We saw Alton McCaskill, so that was good. Of course, Jaquez was the one that ended up getting the interception. So, that was his first game back. So there were some highlights there. Not many, but we're going to take what we can get. It definitely was tough, but, I'm looking to see us bounce back. We kind of took one on the chin there. It was ugly, but I feel like we'll be able to bounce back and kind of get some stuff rolling against USC.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, it was one of those things where pretty much, it wasn't just a few things that went wrong. Pretty much all, everything, everybody's at fault and to blame in some instances. And man, I just don't think that, our offensive line has held up, I think, pretty well, especially in the pass protection for most of our games. But I think, having looked a little bit again at what was happening since Saturday, it really just didn't seem like our line was prepared well to deal with the speed that Oregon was bringing off the line. I think that was a huge difference, something that I didn't really notice much in my small little keyboard coach prep leading up to the game was how much of an issue that was going to be. And man, I think dealing with that instantly kind of just knocked us off, our game plan and what we were looking to do. And it got out of hand pretty quickly, man. But like you were saying, man, this is an opportunity for us to bounce back.
Right.
We have a big challenge ahead of us in USC. What are your initial thoughts on going into this week? We can start with USC or things we want to see corrected or done different. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, we can start with things we want to see corrected and done different. We can go there. Of course, what you hit on with the offensive line for sure. I mean, we gotta keep Shedeur upright. Well, he was sacked 7 times, I believe. Mm-hmm. That number is now up to 22 sacks on the year in 4 games. I mean, that's just way too many sacks there for sure. So the offensive line, we have to pick it up there because we have to establish some type of run game. Because at this point now, I mean, we're super one-dimensional, and teams know that. And another thing too is 3rd and long plagued us all game against Oregon. I mean, if we can't establish the run, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 2 sticks is going to be tough. And especially when you're playing against a formidable opponent like a Oregon, like a USC, like some other matchups that we have coming up in the future. So we have to establish the run. Defense, of course, we still got to get in the backfield a little bit more. We need a few more tackles for loss. We're turning the ball over, which is really good. But, I mean, going up against an Oregon offense that was, number 2 in the country, I mean, it was going to be tough on the road for our defense. It was going to be tough for sure. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I don't think we made Shedeur's life or any easier on Saturday. And I think that just like after the games bringing up here, I think that we got away very quickly because we instantly started with a lead that we were needing to make up,
Yeah.
trailing. And we gotta get this man some help. I think USC definitely has some big boys up front, but they will provide, I think, an easier time for us to develop a running game this game. And one of the things, again, that I was pretty disappointed by was just kind of everything still kind of looked vanilla, I guess, from the last couple weeks,
Yeah.
And there's just a lot that you can do, especially with a speedy defense like Oregon, running some different RPOs, having maybe some bigger jumbo packages in there, to really try and establish a run game. But I think both offensively and defensively, our game plans didn't seem to change much from what we've been doing. And it really allowed Oregon to dictate the game on both sides of the ball to their strengths. Again, over half of Bo Nix's completions were behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Like, I know they got some speed, man, but at that point, it's like we have to be playing, if not press, a little bit closer on the line. If we lose to Bo Nix beating us with his deep ball all the time, I can live with that. But I think we made their game very easy, and when you combine that with them having more talent, more speed, that's when you get a 36-point margin of victory, right? So I was a little disappointed to just see. I don't think, obviously, the preparation was right, but now we have a big opportunity to hopefully right some of those wrongs this week going up against USC. I wanted to share this with you really quickly, Bird. So just to put in perspective.
Yeah.
So USC right now has the number one offense in college football. But there is still hope, and we're going to get into that. 55 points a game right now. Which is just insanity. But their opponents right now, San Jose State, that was 56-28. Then they played Nevada, 66-14. Then they played Stanford, 56-10, and those were all home games. Then you see them go on the road this past weekend, play Arizona State. It's a 42-28 game. And I mean, it was close until, about halfway through the fourth quarter or something like that. I mean, Drew Pine, not even their starting quarterback at Arizona State, was able to drive Arizona State down the field to keep them in the game, made a lot of great throws, and they're able to establish a good running game. But there is, I think that even though they have a high-powered offense, from what I have watched, I think what they do really well might play into some of our strengths a little bit better compared to Oregon's lining up exactly with all of our weaknesses. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I know the offense of USC is going to be super explosive, right? We're going to get another explosive offense, but their defense is not as good as Oregon's is. So I feel like we can put up points. I feel like we can really establish the run game. We'll see if they start Alton off at the beginning. I hope so. If not, I still feel like we can establish a run a little bit more here. Now, USC has some explosive guys on the outside. They got a couple receivers that can really go get it. I mean, and then you got to have a quarterback that can get the ball to them. So, I mean, they're going to score some points. We're going to definitely still have to play our best ball game. Of course, we didn't do that against Oregon. That might have been our worst ball game we played all year, honestly. It's going to take our best effort, right, to be able to compete and stay in the game. But I do see where we're still able to attack this USC defense a little bit differently than we were able to with Oregon, which is going to help us out, keep our defense on the sideline, being able to get rested, because, of course, they're going to have to cover all game long for sure. So I feel like we can really kind of bounce back this week here, being at home, bounce back a little bit. But it's going to take a complete game for us to put up a decent fight, or we can be looking at the same thing that happened with Oregon.
Yeah, most definitely. I think if we roll out, obviously, with doing the same stuff that we were trying to do last week, I mean, it's it's not going to look pretty even at home. I think, with how USC runs their offense, it is incredible, man, how they're able to get downfield into the red
Yeah,
zone with just 4 or 5 plays.
that's
They
it.
take a lot of big shots. They get a lot of big chunk plays.
Yeah.
And so that might just play into a little bit, kind of what we've done well, or better, I guess. And hopefully having some opportunities to get some interceptions from Caleb Williams. But
Yeah.
if USC comes out here working the short game, working some of the slant stuff, I think we're in for for a long day on defense if we're not able to get some pressure. But I do think that one other thing that is giving me hope is that I don't think that they're nearly as good of a road team as they are at home. And, this team hasn't been tested much yet on the road. I mean, they were having to call timeouts on Thursday in the third quarter because of the noise at Arizona State. And Folsom's going to be rocking a lot louder, than what's going on. So I think, it's one of those things where if USC kind of lets an opponent that they're facing kind of hang in there, I mean, you saw Arizona State had opportunities to win, and if we can hang in there, anything can happen, within the second half. But let's talk a little bit more kind of offensively. I know you've mentioned a little bit of wanting to see some more run game. Again, one thing that I'm confused and I just need to get an answer on at some point is, if McCaskill is playing in the fourth, why the heck were we not using him in the first? If he's healthy enough to play, I don't know. But are you expecting to see more of them this week? What would you like to see done differently to have a little bit more success?
Yeah, I'm expecting to see more Alton this week. I believe it will have 5 carries for like 17 yards. I'm right there with you. I'm not going to question Coach Prime and the coaching staff. Of course, they got more experience in this than me. I'm not sure if that he didn't really show that he was, of course, you can't get in shape. It's nothing like game shape, right? Nothing like playing the games to get in shape, right? So, of course, he hasn't played in a while. So that could be why they were trying to kind of work him in slow. But I'm strongly on Alton McCaskill and the ability that he can run the football. So I would definitely start him for sure. I mean, it gives us a different look. And it's a different back. We don't have a back like him. He's in a class of his own when it comes to that running back room that we have. So offensively, it's gonna start up front, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good our quarterback is, how good our skill position guys are. If we can't keep Shedeur Sanders upright, if he's scrambling for his life, he can't keep his eyes downfield. I mean, it's gonna be tough against anybody. So of course, I think we'll be able to run the football. I think we'll rush for more yards this game than we've done any game all season. I believe that. Put that out there, which is not hard to do, but from our offensive numbers that we've had rushing the football, but that's what it's going to take. That's what it's going to take. We got to stay up in front of the sticks. We can't have these 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15s. We got to limit the penalties too, because I believe we had like 12 penalties in this game. I mean, we got to limit the penalties, especially the pre-stop penalties. I mean, we can't beat ourselves in this matchup, man. We really can.
Yeah, no doubt. And we definitely beat ourselves on Saturday too, which just made everything going up against a top 10 opponent even that much more difficult. When you're trying to correct your own mistakes and shooting yourself in the foot, making up for that. I think, man, yeah, I would love to see more of Alton. I think, again, even if we don't have a super strong run game, if we're able to average 3.5 yards a carry, like, that provides a big difference, man.
Yeah, absolutely. No, most definitely. And then it opens up other things too in the passing game. Because I mean, we gotta have some type of versatility. Because teams right now, they're just dropping 8. I mean, they're just dropping 8. Because I mean, they know like we're gonna throw the ball 50 times a game. They already know we're gonna throw it. So it's like we just gotta have some type of mix up there.
Yeah. And I think too, one thing again that I've said this before, and I'm wondering if we might see a change here at some point. I don't know if it will be this weekend, but we do got some beefier guys on the offensive line that I think we could throw in at the interior. Again, I know Jack Bailey is very familiar with this system coming over here from Kent State, but just it's very clear that he he's just a little light, man. And especially with USC kind of having some of those beefier guys on the defensive line, I do wonder, again, would this be a good time to see Jack Wiltie? I don't know if he's been hurt or what what that whole thing's been about, but we got guys coming in here from the JUCO level, like Jeremiah McCrinnon. That's a big boy. I think he's like 315. We got Kareem Harden, who's around that size as well. I do wonder kind of what is going to be the tipping point with kind of how much longer, because again, we need to see the offensive line gel, things like that. I understand. But what we saw on Saturday was a little bit more of just like physical domination. Like they just had better athletes on the line than we did on Saturday. And I still think that there's more cards for us to play to have a little bit more success. Yeah, I would not be opposed to seeing some things switch up on the line. But the other thing that I would like to mention is just the tackling. We've had better games with wrapping up guys than obviously we saw with Oregon. There was a lot of tackles where we came in, we hit the guy, and then he's going for another 7, 8, 10 yards after contact. Really brutal stuff. Against USC, man, they got some big running backs, and it's going to be imperative that we get better at tackling this week. Hopefully we see somebody like Miles Slusher return this week. I think he would be a huge help with that. I don't know what the status is on Shiloh. I heard that he's a little banged up yesterday in my live stream, but what are your thoughts on our defense and some things that you think we might see, some different coverages we might try, so forth?
Yeah, I'm hoping that we do get Slusher back. Slusher is huge, and he was playing extremely well. I mean, he played his tail off in that TCU game for sure. I heard about Shiloh too. Of course, that'll be a huge loss because we already lost one starting safety, so that'll be a huge loss there. One highlight I can say every week so far that he's played is Juwan. Juwan, our linebacker number 51, Juwan Mitchell. I believe he's leading the team in tackles, and he hasn't played in every game, right? So I mean, he's been playing extremely well, but I feel like our defense, man, we got to get pressure in the backfield, especially with a quarterback like Caleb Williams. This may be the best quarterback we see all season. So, I mean, if you got a guy like Caleb Williams, if he's able to get time back there in the pocket with those two explosive wide receivers, I believe number 2 for USC, I believe his last name is Gant, I believe. He's a stud. He scored in every game so far for USC. I believe that's 5 touchdowns already. He leads the team in receiving. So, I mean, he has some weapons on the outside where our defense – I mean, we're going to have to get pressure. If we don't get pressure on Caleb Williams, it's going to be tough, man, especially if our offense is not clicking and not, scoring 40-plus points. It's going to be tough to beat USC.
Yeah, most definitely. I think what you were referring to is Brendan Rice. He transferred. He transferred from CU a couple of years ago, which is so funny. Yeah, when Christian Gonzalez left, he transferred out as well, and one of our defensive backs, Mekhi Blackman. So they were all brought in here. Well, I don't know if Christian Gonzalez was. I think he was Mel Tucker guys. So he's been having a big year at USC. Definitely, we'll see him in the NFL next year, and having Jaquez back is going to be a huge help. But man, like our secondary has their work cut out for them this week. It's going to be so important for us to get some pressure. And I think what's another kind of silver lining or positive is that I think USC's offensive line is not at the level of Oregon. Granted, Oregon definitely helps their offensive line too with getting the ball out very quickly, but even in the run game, I feel better about dealing with USC's line than I do against Oregon. And I think it should be a closer game. But, we got a lot of things to correct. And I'm glad that this is I'm glad we're kind of getting some of our toughest opponents right out the gate with conference play, because I think it's only going to make us better, moving forward. We got, Arizona State coming up in a couple of weeks. That's going to be a really important game to make sure that we take care of business with. But, going against Bo Nix and Caleb Williams to start out the conference season, man, just like, our guys having to go up against Shedeur and, Travis Hunter all throughout camp, I think it will pay dividends for us later in the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you see that what Coach Prime, Well Off Media put out today where Travis was trying to get back on the field?
I did, man. When I first read it, I was like, "Oh my God, he's coming back! Let's
Yeah.
go!" But he's like,
No way.
"No, man."
There's no way
Oh,
that real quick. I think it was no way, but I mean, Travis being him, I know for a fact if they would clear him, he would be out there in a heartbeat. He wouldn't even matter. I
yeah,
mean, but we need him in a
yeah.
bad.
He's a dog. He is the definition of a dog, and yeah, we need him back completely healthy. I think the other thing that I did want to spend time on saying is that I know we only saw a little bit of him, but I was impressed with Cormani, man. He had that really great textbook tackle at the end of the game, forced a fumble, and then he was the one who tracked down the fake punt guy.
Yeah,
And you know, I think people made some comments earlier this year about how like he's too small or too skinny, you know, to be nah, man, that is not true. You look at how big he is compared to the rest of our corners, he is you know, he's the biggest guy we got.
right.
I think that he's ready. Again, what do I know? I'm a guy talking about the Buffs in his bedroom, but I would like to see what do we got to lose, man? What do we got to lose if you know, throwing him out there, man? We got a reigning Heisman candidate we're going after, man. We got to
Right.
make his life a little bit difficult.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. And I think his confidence is at a level now that it hasn't been all season. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
you got a guy like Cormani, 5-star guy. He used to never coming off the field, and then you get in college and you haven't played at all. Right. 1 or 2 games you haven't even dressed out. I mean, so I know getting on the field and actually making somewhat of an impact, even if it was kind of, garbage time in a sense. The game was really on the line. But I mean, getting in there and actually making a play, forcing the fumbles, showing him like, yeah, you really belong here. Like you're at this level for a reason. I think his confidence is at another level that it hasn't been at. And I believe we see Kamani a little bit more. I mean, I know the coaching staff had to be pleased with how hard he was still playing at the end of that game. So I mean, he was a 5-star guy for a reason. I know he was the last player to get to camp, so it's tough to get acclimated for him. But I think this is a time where we can really see Kamani McLean get on the field, and he may be able to make an immediate impact. I mean, he's 6'2", long, rangy corner. I mean, he's got some
Yeah.
stuff that he can definitely use for sure.
Oh yeah. I would love to see him more in this game, and I just think it's funny, man. I'm like, we are asking Dylan, and again, this needs to change. It needs to change with Alton McCaskill being back. But we've been asking Dylan Edwards to pick up inside linebacker blitzers, head on at like 170 pounds, man. Cormani can play this game.
Yeah,
Like it's clear that he can tackle. He's ready for this,
yeah.
and he's only going to get stronger as his career goes on. But
Sure.
what? Yeah, you got nothing to lose, man. Having him out there in certain packages. Maybe you're not lining him up against Branch to start out, but let's continue to get his feet wet, get him comfortable, and see him have some success. So Bird, I really appreciate your time. I got to get running here in a minute, and again, thanks to everybody for tuning in today. I'll be talking with Colin Moore later this evening for story time. But before we wrap up, man, where can people find you, and what do you or what can people expect to see from you later this week on your channel?
Absolutely. So, of course, you can find me here on YouTube, Bird's Eye View. Of course, you can find me on Twitter at Baseball Driven and on Instagram at Bird's Eye View 5. Later, of course, this week, I'll just be, of course, putting out more content revolving our Colorado Buffaloes for sure. I got a few things coming up as far as like merchandise wise, too. I'll have some merchandise coming out as well. But yeah, just pretty much the same old, covering the Colorado Buffaloes. And I'll keep you updated, with everything that I hear, everything that's going on. David, as always, I appreciate you for having me on. It's always a pleasure. I love coming on here every week. So I'm always available for you.
Oh man, I definitely appreciate it. And yeah, we will talk again, after this game, see how it unfolds. But hopefully we get the upset this week. And
Yeah.
we got a lot of momentum to build off of moving into the rest of conference play. So again, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to hit that comment. I'm playing for clicks. So hit that like. And as always, Sko Buffs.
Go Buffs.